everybody, and welcome back to the Love Aspect podcast. We're delighted to have you here again. I'm Hannah Dunley, once again, with her co-host and partner,
Joshua Saunders, here with you lovely people once again. Thank you for coming back.
Now, if you'll remember, in last week's episode, we did say that we were going to go through the final 3 couples in Married at First Sight UK. However, we currently haven't seen enough of them to do that, so that will be for a future episode when we have seen enough of them.
Yeah, I'm thinking we'll probably, because it'd be a pretty short episode if we just did the 3, so I'm thinking we'll do the 3 and maybe add on some thoughts or something onto the episode as well.
And so for today's episode, everyone, I thought we'd do the opposite of what we did in a previous episode, where Josh is going to ask me questions that, men would like the female perspective on. And then, he can give what he would answer if it was directed at him as a man. So we, get both inputs and both sides of the coin so we can see what the difference is. So Josh, feel free to ask whenever you would like.
Absolutely. So question 1 is, how true is it when you say, I don't do this for men, referring to things like wearing revealing clothes, makeup, or posting on social media for likes?
Now, I suppose it depends on what you think of these things, which would be my kind of answer, because I don't tend to wear revealing anything when I'm out of the house. But when I'm inside, I don't mind wearing something revealing. Normally, I wear something revealing if I want to feel extra sexy for me. And for me, it's an absolute and utter benefit if Josh also likes it. But I tend to kind of do that for me, and that for me is quite true. Now, there have been times, for example, where I might buy something sexy to wear, and technically it is for Josh, but it also would make me feel fabulous to wear. I wear makeup occasionally. My friend Demelza came with me to MAC in the city centre, and I got properly matched with foundation and concealer and the like, and it really worked out for me because I was able to kind of properly see what actually works for my skin and learn how to actually do it. And to be honest, my makeup, whenever I have done it, has looked flawless ever since, which I'm so grateful for. I tend to definitely wear that for me. However, I wear it when I want to because I would like to feel that bit extra special. So if Josh and I go out somewhere for date night, I'll have it on, or if we go out for dinner, I'll have it on, that kind of thing. I don't tend to wear it every day because, to be honest, I'm just not that kind of woman. But I don't think there's anything wrong with women who do wear it every day. For me, I suppose I just have an issue with women who say they can't go out without wearing it, because that for me is an insecurity problem that they need to fix, because it's rare that you'll find a woman that's that nasty or ugly that they'd look shocking without makeup on. For me anyway, and this may be controversial to say, there's a difference between ugly and rosacea. And obviously, as we know, rosacea is the redness of people's cheeks. I have a little bit of rosacea now, and when I was younger, I knew someone with extreme rosacea, and people would often say ugh, or doesn't she look nasty, instead of realizing, actually, she just has extremely red cheeks and needs to treat them. And to be honest, what happened is she did treat them and got way better. But she, took that level of self-care for herself. And what was the other thing? There was revealing clothes and makeup and...
So there was revealing clothes, makeup, and posting on social media for likes.
I do post on social media for likes. But when I post on social media for likes, it's not always me I'm posting. A lot of the times it's my pets. Because, I love my girls and I like them to get likes, so I kind of do post for that reason. And I suppose, I would say to yourself, Josh, is there anything that you feel you do, which people might say, are you doing that for Hannah or are you doing it for you?
There probably is quite a few things, yeah, again, dressing, are you picking that style? Are you dressing that way to look more attractive or more appealing to women? So personally, not really. Like, I like to feel like I look good, don't get me wrong. It's never in a sense of what's trendy and what do I think would look attractive. It's more, well, what do I think looks good on me? What do I think looks good in general? And what do I think people would also like? Now, it is mostly for me, but I do like it when other people like the clothes I'm wearing. Like, they think I've got good taste, or they think I've, made good choices. Like, they think what I've picked works well for me. So that, not so much for other people or for Hannah directly, but it's nice when Hannah likes what I've picked to wear, what I've chosen to wear, and she thinks it looks good on me.
Yeah, definitely. That's quite important. And something I also said in another podcast somewhere is that, like, I suppose I feel like people need to be very aware of saying that something they're wearing is very bizarre and out there, if it's really not. Like, and I know that, we all have a different level of bizarre, but I suppose bizarre to me means that it looks really, really strange. And bizarre to me would mean that I would have questions as to why someone might even choose to wear it. Now, that's just what I think and how I feel as a person. So, for me, that's what it would be. And I also feel like, I've had to learn with my own style as well that just because something works on someone else does not mean it's going to work on me. And that's not even an insult, that's just how it is. I suppose being a plus size person myself, I find like the annoying thing about a lot of the very stylish plus size clothes they have is that, like, you've either got no boobs or they expect you to be like Pamela Anderson, which I'm not. My chest is grand, but I mean, it'll never be massive, so sometimes stuff gapes on you and it becomes a bit too revealing for me. And also, like, when we were watching, Married at First Sight, like, some of the women on there were ever so slightly plus size, and they had huge boobs, and, like, some of the time, like, their boobs didn't even fit in the dresses they were wearing properly, and it kept looking like they were going to fall out. Which I think, is awkward myself. And, that's just what I think there. But, like, everybody should wear what makes them feel the most comfortable. But if it is bizarre, people are probably, they might think that or they might say that, And I just think, everyone has, very unique style. I do like how Josh dresses, I think it's very unique. And he certainly has some, very quirky clothes, which I actually quite enjoy because I consider myself to be quite a quirky person myself. And I often joke about Josh saying, like, if it's not weird, he doesn't want it. But actually, that's a bit like me. I like to have things that are not regular things because I think, like, everybody could get something regular. I want something that's different and shows that if someone is getting me something, for example, they've put effort in. Or they've thought, let me get this for her, it's different. But she likes different things, she's not run of the mill. So, that's kind of what my opinion is on that. And what's the next question?
So question number 2 is, how many times have you cheated or thought about cheating?
Well, I'm exceptionally vocal on cheating. Because I think there's a place in hell for cheating, I really do. And people that cheat need to go there. Get in the bin and live there. I've never once thought about cheating. I've never cheated on somebody. And I think, now this might be controversial maybe, but I think there are different definitions of cheating and what that means, but for different people. So, for example, before I met Josh, I was speaking to a very nice guy online, and he was from Egypt. And I thought, this guy was an extremely flattering guy. And at one point he had said, holy hell, like, how in the name of God, is someone like you still single? Which, let's not lie, is very flattering to hear. And we were talking away, and he was kind of saying all these, like, really romantic things he might like to do, and I thought it sounded lovely. And then he basically ghosted me. And what he didn't explain is that he was actually in the process of going through a bit of a mental breakdown. Things in his life weren't going well, and he had a breakdown, which also included a breakdown of communication. So obviously after that I was quite upset, and then, a couple of months later I met Josh, and obviously we're still here today. However, About a year after he had ghosted me, the guy got back in touch to explain himself and explained that he'd had this mental breakdown. He really hadn't been in a good headspace. And rather than being able to tell me that, he wasn't. So, it kind of became a bit like, he wasn't able to tell me that. And when he got back in touch, which for me now is completely bizarre, he thought basically he could just pick up where he had left off a year ago. I don't know, did he think I would have been waiting for him for a year, like a loser, or what it was? And I found, when he was saying, the flattering things to me, I slipped back into the whole, oh, that's so flattering. However, I was very aware that I was with Josh. And I did go and speak to Josh about it and say, look, to be honest, this is making me feel weird. I'm extremely flattered that this guy is doing this, and I don't know how to approach it. Now, I feel personally I'm quite lucky, in my relationship, that I was able to ask Josh for advice and I got no judgment. That for me was absolutely wonderful. So, I was able to ask him what he thought I should do. And I, quite politely told the guy, look, to be honest, I'm with someone now, and although I'm extremely flattered with what you're saying, it's not actually appropriate to continue to do that as I'm with someone. And when it comes to cheating, this is, I suppose, the controversial part for me. If I go off and I'm having sex with someone that's not my partner, I'm cheating in my book. If I go off and I'm kissing someone that's not my partner, I find that very complex because I feel that could be an accident. If I'm trashed and I think I'm kissing my partner, it could be an accident. However, I will caveat that by saying I don't really drink that much, so I can't have these accidents because I'm quite careful about things like that. And I feel in most cases, most cheating is not forgivable, especially the sex. But I do think if there's any part of cheating that some people might be able to get over, it probably would be kissing somebody. I think if Josh came as an example and told me okay, look, I kissed another person, I would probably feel extremely hurt. But I know in the back of my own head, I would feel relieved that hey, you know what, at least it wasn't sex. Because sex for me is so much worse than a kiss. I mean, I can kind of get over a kiss eventually, but sex I could never get over myself. So yeah, cheating for me is an absolute no-no. I have been cheated on before myself, and I did catch somebody in the act. And the level of extreme revulsion and disgust I felt was actually palpable, and I almost got sick because I was that disgusted with the person. The relationship that I was in, it wasn't working out. And I knew that, and so did the person. But I felt so disgusted and almost sick that they didn't think to come and tell me, by the way, this isn't working out, we should break up, so that I can then go off with someone else. Because, I found someone else, it's just not ever going to be you. I would have accepted that because I felt the same way. I also felt it wasn't working out. But the fact that they chose to go off with someone else was very upsetting for me. And I don't think they were with it enough to register quite how upsetting that was. It's yeah, okay, the relationship wasn't working, but that doesn't give you the right to be screwing people over. That's not cool. So, I just... if it's not working, all I can tell you is get out now. Do not lower yourself and make yourself base and resort to cheating, because that really is the lowest of the low for me. And just don't do it, guys. Save yourself the hassle. You don't need it, and you don't want to be responsible for ruining someone's life or breaking someone's heart or causing problems. If it's not working, it's quite okay to say it's not working and leave. Now, to be honest, I'd rather hurt someone's feelings and leave than destroy them because I cheated. That's just what I think. And I suppose, what about yourself, Josh? What's your view on cheating?
My view on cheating?
Like the question said, have you ever thought of cheating or cheated?
Oh, my personal experience on cheating.
Well, yeah, have you ever cheated? Have you ever thought of cheating?
So I've never cheated, and I've never been cheated on. And this isn't kind of with Hannah or strictly in this moment in time. I suppose throughout my life, ever since I started dating, I have thought about if I'm with the right person and what it would be like to be with maybe, I suppose sometimes somebody specific, or sometimes somebody that I'm trying to, I guess, conjure somebody I think would be best suited to me and what life would be like with them. But that's kind of the furthest I've gone. Because I think sometimes when we're in a relationship, depending, if we're not happy, I think some of us do think, am I with the right person? What would life be like with this person? What would life be like with my ideal person? I think sometimes we have those thoughts and we kind of, I suppose, daydream about that possibility. And I must admit, when like relationships haven't been working out for me. But I've never cheated, thankfully. And that's kind of the furthest it's ever gone for me. I'm kind of, how do I word this? I'm probably maybe a little less forgiving than Hannah on the cheating front. If I found out that somebody I was with kissed somebody else, I'm not really sure if I could look past it. Like, I think, because I feel like it would just forever kind of nag in my head, and I don't think I could. I think that just would be the end for me personally. Now I respect what Hannah's saying and her opinion on that, and that's fine if that's how she feels and how she sees it. That's absolutely fine, but I just, personally for me, sex, kissing, I think the only one I could kind of be leaning on is, I suppose, like maybe flirting or kind of being a bit touchy-feely depending on what way it was done.
Yeah.
I guess it would really depend on the circumstance and kind of how much of it was happening. And even then, I'm not 100% sure if I could handle that. But if I was to be leaning on some kind of cheating, that would be it. Kissing and sex, I couldn't. I couldn't look past, I don't think.
And actually, I was wondering because I recently discovered a new type of cheating, which is not something I had ever considered. And it's actually called emotional cheating. And that's where you're not kissing anybody else, you're not having sex with anybody else, but you are going to them with like your problems and issues, and you are having deep discussions with them. And I don't know how I would or would not feel about that, because that's never kind of happened to me. I guess if that came up in my relationship, I'm not saying Josh would do that, I don't think so, but like in any relationship I was in, if that came up, my question to myself would probably be, what did I do that made the person feel like they couldn't speak to me about their deep thoughts? Because that's actually a moment, I think, for self-reflection there. Because I feel like if someone is feeling they can't speak to me, I've obviously done something wrong in some capacity, and they're obviously not comfortable, because nobody that's comfortable is going to be going with deep issues to someone else. So in that case, I think, it involves a lot of self-reflection and thinking about, what I could have done better to prevent that. Because I don't know if it's necessarily cheating. I mean, I know it's called emotional cheating, but I suppose, having sex with somebody that's not your partner is so much cheating for me that I don't know if I could see other things as that. It's just interesting to note there. What's the next question, Josh?
Let's see, question number 3. I would ask them what their favourite of each sense is, like taste, touch, sight, sound, and a little explanation. I think that would be interesting.
That is interesting. And actually, before, when we were inside in the Asperger Society in the city center, we did a test like this to actually experience what each of us feel with each of our senses. And I learned an awful lot about myself in that process. Like, for example, when it comes to smell, I'm quite allergic to the smell of jasmine, for example. I hate jasmine, it's horrible. When I smell it, I can't even breathe properly. And I love smells. Like, for example, I've been looking into perfume recently, and some of the scents that I love the most are like fruity scents and some florals and a lot of like sandalwood and bergamot. very nice kind of sense and stuff. When it comes to taste, I generally like sweet things and I do like savory things. I wish I could be cool and say that I also like hot things, but the only thing that I can eat that's genuinely hot are hot wings. Otherwise, I can't eat anything else that's, hot. And I think another thing that really bugs me is that a lot of the time when it comes to like hot things, for example, people are not self-aware. Like when I was living in Tunisia, for example, some of the food they eat there is very spicy to me. Now it's spicy to me. It's not spicy to them. But then I find sometimes there's a lack of understanding about, is it actually hot or not? For example, Mokhtar could not have spice the same as me. And he lived there. But like people were very blasé about like, oh, it's not all that hot, kind of grow up here. And sometimes you can't because your body just, says no. And then, going back into the experiment that we did in the Aspect Centre in Cork, we were given some sweets to hold actually. And we were told to focus on it and how it feels in our hands and stuff, and eventually we were allowed to eat it. And to the shock of everybody, they were sour sweets. Now I actually I quite like sour kind of stuff, so that wasn't too bad for me. But when it comes to taste, actually, one of the main things for me is actually the texture of a food. If the texture is off, forget about it. And for example, I always make this joke about my mom, but like sometimes when she eats stuff, she likes it with a lot of kind of, juice or liquid or kind of the gravy or something. And she likes to mash it all up. And I make this joke that is like, if someone saw that, they wouldn't say, what is it? They'd say, what was it? Because you'd have to guess. The only real sauces that I like are like cheese sauce and pepper sauce and probably bechamel as well. And obviously bolognese sauce. But like I kind of don't like, spicy stuff or gravy or things like that. It's not for me. So I tend to like kind of drier foods. But like if I was having like potatoes as an example, like I'd have butter on it so it wouldn't be totally dry. That's just the way it is. And in terms of sight, I like to look at camming things. And I like things that have a lot of color, but I don't like things that are so busy that they'd almost make you dizzy because you can't focus on them too much. One time I was on holiday and we went into like this gallery and they had all this different art there. And then they had this art which was done by an artist who felt angry at the time. And he was after, basically chucking paint all over his easel and the art and, splattered everywhere. And it was so busy that I kind of found it very flustering to look at, like it was too much going on. So I do like to look at things that are, color and camming as well. And I also do like optical illusions, but that's because they kind of, they force the mind to focus in a certain way, and I do like that, And then when it comes to hearing, music basically is like life to me. I can't do anything without music. If there was no music, there wouldn't be any me, because music is just everything. I love all kinds of music except for like heavy metal and sometimes a bit of country. But the main one I don't like is heavy metal because, to be honest guys, let's not lie, I don't get the point of it. There's some guy on top of the stage, screaming his head off, chucking beer over his head or some such nonsense. And it never makes any sense to me and it just looks ridiculous. And to be honest, I either get a headache or I just feel like laughing because it's so silly to me. And that's not to diminish anybody that likes it, I just find it really silly. Like some stuff is just silly to look at, And then touch is extremely important to me. If I touch something and it feels remotely off, everybody's gonna know. For example, I cannot stand velvet or plush fabrics. They just give me the creeps to touch. I can't cope. And when it comes to touching anything that's kind of, unless it's something I actually want to touch, touching something that's kind of very wet or gooey is also quite weird. I mean, obviously, if it's slime or something, that's fine. I mean, that's expected. But certain textures, again, it goes in with the whole taste thing. Like, if something feels off in my mouth, it's gonna taste off. Like, I can't remember what it was now, but I had before was some kind of like praline, for example. I can't eat praline because it makes me sick. But like, I had an aunt, God love her. I mean, she used to be like, I used to say to her, like, please don't get me the praline seashells, I can't eat them. And every year at Christmas, she would give me them and tell me to adjust, and I used to say to her, but they make me sick, the taste is horrible. And it was like she was completely checked out and could not zone in on what I was saying. And I'm, in terms of the senses, I guess, I'm very much somebody that has to have things a particular way. Otherwise, it doesn't work out. So, when it comes to like nighttime, for example, I have to have an eye mask for darkness, and I have to listen to, either thunderstorm sounds or like ocean sounds to go to sleep. And I'm the kind of person because Josh is the human form of a radiator all the time. I'm the kind of person, I like to spoon and then turn away and spoon and turn away the whole night. That's just what I do. And I do it in my sleep subconsciously. I'm not even thinking of it. So I'm very into like having my own space, but also being close to him. And, I find things like that very comforting. And a lot of, sometimes, like, for example, if I go somewhere that's a bit too busy, or there are too many people, and it's absolute sensory overload for me, and I need to get out. So sometimes I want to stay in the shop and browse, other times I need to leave. And I'm the kind of person that, like, if I go into a shop, for example, that has epic music playing in there, I'll get very distracted because I'll think, oh, this is a fabulous song. And I might even forget why I'm in there. That's just how it goes. So as I said, like, if places are too busy and stuff, I don't really like to be in there because it's too stressful for me. And then I end up getting very overwhelmed with how busy it is and how stressful it is. And I might snap at someone, or I might even cry, who knows, So definitely, like, my senses and things are very, important to me. And what about you, Josh? Like, how are your senses for you?
This is a tough one for me because I don't really feel like I have a definitive answer for any of them. I'm going to give the closest answer to what I think is the best answer
For you?
for me personally. So starting with taste, it really depends on my mood and how I'm feeling. I'd say for the most part, I have a sweet tooth and I like sweet treats. I like chocolate, I like sweets, I like sugary things. So I would say sweet things are my go-to when it comes to taste. Touch, I like a lot of soft things. I would say overall I like squishy things. I like things when they're squishy. I don't know, when it's something, when it's an object and it's squishy, I'm kind of like, oh, I'll fiddle with that for a bit. I don't know, I like it when something is squishy. I like to mess around with something when it's squishy. Sight, I would say, I like kind of cartoonish artwork. Like, I like something when it's got like a cartoony edge to it. I'm not like die hard into, what do you call them, like lifelike paintings or anything like that. I prefer like, cartoony pictures with creative characters on them, like Sonic or Kirby or, Klonoa, something like that. Something that's a bit kind of creative, unique. Again, it's got like cartoonish personality. That's appealing to me, like sight-wise. It's eye candy for me. And sound, I like music with I like lively music. I like music with a lot of beat, a lot of tune. I like my music to have a unique sound in the sense of I like it to, and I'm not a music person, so these might be the wrong terms. So sorry if it is. But I like my music to have like a unique tune. And I guess what I mean like that is I like the tune to be something that I don't feel sounds like something else. Like if I heard that tune, I'd immediately know that's what song that is, purely because the tune is so distinct. So yeah, I like something that's lively. I like something that's a unique tune. And if possible, I like something with very creative lyrics. I like a lot of, I suppose, metaphors and things in my lyrics, where it's, I suppose, saying one thing, but it's not just telling you, it's telling you in a creative way. Like the meaning's there. They're telling you again through like a metaphor rather than just saying it outright. I don't know, to me they're the best lyrics, personally. So I like songs like that, I like hearing things like that. Yeah, so that's mine. Question 4. Why did you choose me? What do you wish I did? Where do you want to eat?
Now, okay, so this is a question that genuinely drives me crazy. Bearing in mind, guys, I am a woman as well. But I think that women who just can't be assertive and decide where they might like to eat their dinner have serious issues. I'm sorry, it's not that complex, it's a question. If Josh asks me that, I'm gonna say, let's get pizza or let's get Indian or something. I'm gonna be very direct about what I want. If I'm not sure, for example, if I can't decide between two things, I'll tell him, look, I can't decide between this and this, you make the choice. I'm happy to go with whatever that is. That's very different to me than kind of passively aggressively saying, I don't know. Like, what in the hell is anybody supposed to do with that kind of information? I don't know, like, really, ma'am? I'm not patient with things like that, as you can tell. I'm a true Sagittarius. I'm not patient for people, who say silly things. And to the other part, like, why did I choose you? I chose you because, you were different than my normal type. Let's not lie. There's a reason why your normal type doesn't work out for you. And I feel like if you can't see that, then you have a problem. You should be able to see, look, my normal type isn't working out. It's time I stopped having a type and actually go for someone completely different. As soon as I dropped the type and the pretenses and the nonsense, I found you, and it was one of the best experiences of my life. And I would choose you every day. I just think you're one of the best choices. And you're the first person I've been with who puts me first. And you're the first person I've been with where I can truly relax. Like, I don't have to be in control of everything. Someone can take control. Someone can look after me. I can look after them, but it can be reciprocated. It's such a wonderful feeling. What do I wish that you did? I mean, you do a lot of things, really. So, I'm just trying to think, is there anything I wish that you did that you don't do? At the moment, I really can't think of anything because you kind of really do everything I want. I suppose if anything comes up in the future, I'll let you know. But for now, I guess, and this is very, very, very situational, sometimes make better purchases. As an example, guys, Josh bought a backpack that, to be honest, looked a little bit silly. And he said he only bought it because it had circular designs on the damn thing. And it wasn't even all that large on the inside, so it's not even all that practical. And I'm like, why are you gonna get a bag that's not even all that practical? And to be honest, I'm sure the circles by now have started peeling off, because that's a bit how silly it was. So maybe just think next time you're buying a rucksack in particular, is it versatile? Does it have enough space for what I need it to have? Just maybe that. No, that's the only example I could come up with there. What about yourself?
I was going to say, Hannah, maybe to give you a bit more to work with, what do you wish that I didn't do?
What do I wish that you did?
Is there any habits or anything I do that you're like, I wish you wouldn't do that?
Again, no. Situational. Sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, Josh will need to ask me a question and will forget that he should do that. So, for example, the other day, I was not well enough to put our groceries away. And Josh never thought it might be wise to ask me, what goes in the fridge and what goes in the freezer. And Deirdre had to tell him, hey, ask Hannah, what goes in the fridge and freezer. So he didn't automatically think of that. And sometimes, without sounding mean, I guess, there's a bit of logic that goes into that as well. Not everything goes in the freezer. Because I heard today that he was trying to put some pancetta in the freezer. God love him. But other than that, just when it comes to groceries, just if I'm not putting them away. Because FYI, guys, most of the time I put them away anyway. But if there was ever another time where I couldn't do that, I'd appreciate you asking me, I guess. Where does this go? Where does that go? How can I put them away in a way which will make it easier for you. And that's about it, really.
Okay, that's fair. So to answer this question myself, I will start with the where do you want to eat. So for me, I'm very easy to please. I, for the most part, don't like really fancy and really expensive places. I prefer to go somewhere cheap and cheerful, somewhere with food I know I'll like. I mean, this is strictly for me. Again, if I'm going with Hannah, of course it'll be a joint decision, and I'm happy to compromise. I'm happy to go somewhere a bit different or try somewhere that I'm not sure I'll like, but haven't been before. But if we're going purely by what would I want to choose, if it was completely down to me, it would be again somewhere cheap and cheerful like KFC, McDonald's, Subway, which I know Hannah hates, and we never go to Subway, but I personally don't mind Subway. I mean, I'm happy to go without Subway, but personally, I'm happy with Subway. But I suppose a lot of these famous fast food places, they're on the cheaper end. I know I like them. I think they taste delicious. Are they the most morally sound places? Are they the most, are they the healthiest places? No, not by any means. But I'm aware of that, and despite that, I eat there anyway, and that's just my choice. I'm aware beforehand. I know what these places are like, and I suppose, to be honest, it doesn't matter to me. I want it, and if there's any consequence because of that, then that's on me, because it was caused through my decision. So they're my kinds of places. That's where I like to eat personally. So why did I choose Hannah? To be honest,
What's wrong with you, man? Why did you choose me?
For all the right reasons, sweetie. I was married before. I don't know if I've mentioned this on the podcast, but I was married before, and it just didn't work out. And the reason it didn't work out is because we moved too quickly. I suppose, to kind of give the shortest answer I can, we both assumed that we loved each other deeply, that we were going to live together, that we were going to raise a family, and that would just automatically make us happy and everything would be good. But that's not the reality. And I think once we started living together, we lived together after we were married. And I think that's when you really learn what someone is like when you're around them 24/7. When you share a house together and you're going to be in the same household, you're going to be seeing them every day, for hours at a time. You'll be seeing them here and there. You're under the same roof as someone. Their home is your home and your home is their home. And I learned from that there are certain things I need in a relationship for me to be happy. I need certain qualities from someone, I suppose, for lack of a better way of putting it. Like, I need someone to be very specific in ways. Not that somebody has to, there's no 100%, there's no finding someone that's going to do everything right, everything the way I would want it done, agree 100% with me, love everything I'm going to love and hate everything I hate. But there are certain qualities that I need from someone. Everything else I can I can compromise with or live without, but there are certain qualities that I need from someone. And when it came to dating again after my divorce, I really struggled to find someone that I felt had the qualities I knew I would need in a relationship. And that's not to say I had hundreds of people, jumping at me by any means, but I was also being quite picky in the sense of not with things like looks or, hair color or certain likes and dislikes. I was being picky again in the sense of, do you have these qualities I absolutely have to have in another half to be happy? And that's what I found really difficult to find. And, I saw Hannah online. I think we spoke about this briefly in another episode, but I saw Hannah on a dating/friend app, and I read her profile and I looked at her, and I think sometimes when you look at someone, you get a vibe, you get an impression, you get an intuitive feeling. And I read Hannah's profile and I looked at her, and It's hard to explain, and everyone might not agree, but Hannah had a very, I suppose for lack of a better word, inviting look to her. She had a look where I felt like this person could possibly have the qualities I was looking for in someone.
As Cilla Black would say, step inside love.
She would, absolutely. And I don't know, it's hard to explain because I'm not even 100% sure myself, but I looked at Hannah, I read her profile and looked at her, and I thought, this person has an inviting look to them. They have a look that says they could invite someone into their lives, into their heart, and they could love them, and they could care for them. They would want the best for them. But Hannah had a look where I felt like I could possibly be in safe hands with this person. There was a caring and loving vibe coming from Hannah, looking at her. And I don't know, it might sound silly, but that's just the vibe I got from looking at her. And again, reading her profile picture, everything seemed to, just seemed to fall into place. All the right boxes seemed to be ticked. So I approached her and messaged her because I thought there could be something there. And 2.5 years later, we're a couple. We're living under the same roof.
A couple of goofballs.
Oh, we sure are the goofiest. But yeah, we're living together. We're still together. 2.5 years strong. Not to brag, but I feel like a lot of the vibes, a lot of the impressions I got from Hannah absolutely did turn out to be true. She did have all those qualities I needed. And me and Hannah again, we're 2.5 years strong, and I love her very deeply, and I just see a bright future for us both.
Oh.
You're very welcome, beautiful. And I don't see an end for us. I just see a future for us. A future together.
That's great, guys. He's gonna keep me. Yay.
Only she'll keep me back though.
Oh, I will. What's the phrase? I touched it, so it's mine.
Well, I'm definitely yours then.
Oh.
I think there was one more question here. What was it? What do I wish you did? So, what do I wish Hannah did? I think I would like Hannah to maybe lend more of a hand when it comes to jobs. I think we spoke about this in a previous episode, but I think Hannah looks to me to do jobs because I'm about or because I'm up. And I might be up already doing a job, but it might be I'm up doing this job because it needs to be done, or I got up to do a job specifically. I don't want to be taking on every job in that moment because I'm up.
Yeah.
I'm happy to do a job or two and I'm happy to help. I don't want jobs to fall on me just because I'm already doing a job, just because I'm already on my feet.
And I'm working on that, guys.
She is. I've seen improvement.
I'm getting better, I swear.
She is. I've seen the evidence. She's doing good. Let's see. I suppose maybe the other thing is, and I suppose it's more what I wish she didn't do, is that Hannah likes to and she does this for my best interest. I appreciate and understand this. But Hannah likes to poke and prod at me a lot, and it does kind of get to me.
About what?
Oh, like sometimes you just kind of grab me and start plucking ingrown hairs off me without actually asking me.
Sorry.
And it's like, this, I actually don't want this.
Oh yeah.
Or Hannah will, again, she'll kind of start getting into the corner of my eyes because she's seen some sleep, and it's difficult when someone, when something's close to your eyes, you kind of can't help but kind of tense up, and it's a little uncomfortable. And I have no issue if Hannah kind of pointed these things out to me. I think it's more the fact that she kind of just goes in and does it. And I get it's for my best interest. I get it, she's just trying to help. I wish it was more of a choice.
Well, you know what? I'll work on that, because I do, lads. I'm weird, but I'm really into like the satisfying videos, where you see people getting like a cleaned face or something like that. So, I'll definitely work more on just letting Josh know, that he has stuff on his face and he can get rid of it. And I'll be sure to ask a lot more questions.
Oh, thank you, sweetie. Again, it's good, done with good intentions, and I do appreciate it. It's not done to be horrible or to be controlling or anything like that, but it might be nice if I had a bit more say in that.
Well, you will in future.
Thank you, sweetie. And that's all I can think of. I'd probably say we've got time for one more question.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's see, what is the final question? Why is it that the wardrobe is full of clothes and yet they always have nothing to wear when going out?
To be honest with you, I actually do not understand this whatsoever. I feel a lot of people who do say things like that say them because they're just panicking, and it's really quite silly. A lot of the time, what people should do is stop and think, okay, why am I getting dressed? Where am I going? And what am I going to be doing? What's the style I need to wear for this place? What attire do I require? It rhymes. What will be the most comfortable to wear? What's the most stylish to wear? And I would recommend everybody to do this. But everybody should be taking things out of their wardrobe and holding them up against their skin, and you'll be able to tell. What you should tell is, do your eyes go first to the color of the clothes or first to your face? Now your eyes should go to somebody's face first. If they're going to the clothes first, it means that the color is not for them and is washing them out. That's what I've learned in the past. So I feel people are not really aware of properly where they're going. And sometimes, for example, if you're going somewhere and it happens to be a once in a lifetime fancy event, you might not have something to wear for that. But that's because you literally don't have anything to wear. I feel sometimes what people really should say, and women in particular should just say, to be honest, I want to buy some more clothes. Because, a lot of the times that's what it is. And sometimes I feel as women, I try not to do this, and hopefully I don't, but sometimes I feel we put a lot of pressure on men by asking them, or our partners, by asking them, what they think of what we're wearing. But what we're not actually saying, which we should be, is that it absolutely 1,000% matters how it is answered. And a lot of the time we're looking for a specific answer. But obviously we're not going to be telling the person we're looking for this answer, and then it all goes south from there. What we need to do is basically quit with the pretenses and just, ask someone, okay, look, what do you think of what I'm wearing? They're either going to like it or they're not going to like it. But even if someone said, they didn't like what I was wearing, I'd think, okay, they don't like that, but how do I feel in it though? And if you're putting on something, lads, and it's not making you feel $1 million, because we're all $1 million, if it's not making you feel $1 million, then don't wear it. Let it go. Use the Marie Kondo method. Thank it for its service. Either sell it online or send it off to charity so it can help someone else. I see absolutely nothing wrong with that myself, and I think that's important. It really is. Personally, I do like to buy clothes every now and again, and I don't ever kind of feel like I have nothing to wear. But that's because I wouldn't see the point in having clothes and then saying you have nothing to wear. I guess I would find that confusing, and somebody wouldn't really want to be saying that around me because I'm not patient. So I'd probably end up saying to them something like, well, find something to wear and fast because I don't have time for you. That's the way it is. And I'm all for someone asking, does this suit me or does that suit me? But don't start saying you've nothing to wear, because we don't care, okay? Get a life. Find something, put it on and go. I mean, obviously you have to make sure that what you're wearing is appropriate for where you're going. But as I just said, I do think that's a problem people have. They're not making sure that what they wear is appropriate for where they're going. As an example, younger people these days who are in college going age, 20s and stuff, they all go out on the town wearing extremely short clothes that are basically up around their necks, essentially. Half of their ass is on display. And it's no matter what the weather is. And you're like, but how are you not cold? How are you not cold? Because I get cold looking at them. I'd be freezing. Now, I'm not going to lie, I was never kind of a person that wore extremely provocative clothes, because that wasn't really me. I did try that once on a night out, and I did get all of the attention from guys, and my friend who was with me at the time did say to me oh, isn't that so exciting? And I said, yeah, but they're only paying me this attention because I'm dressed like this and it's highly uncomfortable for me. Now, I did this just to see what the reaction would be, and that's what it was. And to be honest, it ended up disgusting me. And I don't believe we should be dressing like prudes either, because that's just, I don't know, stupid, I guess, in my opinion. I think, to be honest, everybody should wear things, in my opinion, that have a V-neck. It can be a big V-neck or a small one. And I like to kind of wear stuff that would enhance my shape if I wanted it to, or could leave me looking as I am if that's what I want as well. For those women, I guess, who don't have the largest chest, I love the power and confidence that a push-up bra gives me. I love that it makes me feel like I have a bigger chest and I'm a lot more confident. But also, having said that I'm more confident that way, if I'm not wearing that, it doesn't automatically denote that I'm not confident. I can be confident in my own skin after years of working on this. And it is a process, guys. This doesn't happen overnight. And it's important to love the skin you're in. You're all beautiful no matter what you look like. And I just want to say to everybody, no matter what you look like, we see you, we love you, and we think you are fabulous. This world is better for having people like you in it, truly. And so, Josh, what do you feel? Have you ever looked at the clothes you have and thought, I have nothing to wear? I don't imagine so because you're a man, but, it could be different.
Yeah, so I think it's a mixture of maybe being a man and me being me. I'm very odd with my clothes in the sense of I guess find it kind of difficult to find clothes that I like. So I buy when I see something I like, or not. I suppose what I'm trying to say is over time I've kind of found, within the last several years anyway, I found clothes that I like, and I've brought them, and I'm not gonna kind of get any taller. I've kind of grown as tall as I'm gonna get. So all the clothes I have now will probably fit me for the rest of my life, for the next several decades anyway. So I also feel I'm an absolute penny pincher. I like to get my money's worth out of everything.
You miser.
I sure am a miser. And so, like, within the last several years, I've never liked the sentiment of buying clothes and being able to get around to wearing a t-shirt maybe once a month because I've got so many other clothes to wear. So I've I suppose, got a handful of clothes that I can kind of rotate through on a fortnightly period.
Almost like a capsule wardrobe, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So that way, I'm not really owning anything that I'm not wearing. Everything kind of gets worn within a relatively good time.
As it should.
Absolutely. So I'm kind of, not that I don't buy new clothes, and Hannah buys me new clothes as well, bless her.
I love it.
She sure does. I love her for it. Clothes aren't something I'm going out to buy more of, and I don't really get rid of a lot of clothes because, again, everything's kind of being picked specifically, by me for my taste. So I never really get tired or get sick of anything I have. I liked it then, I like it now. And it suits me, and I'm happy to keep wearing it. So that's where I am with clothes. I suppose I'm a bit of an odd one with clothes, but I don't buy tons of new clothes, and I don't get rid of a lot of clothes either. Now, obviously, there are certain things that wear and tear, like socks, underwear, t-shirts and stuff do eventually kind of start to unravel. So I do have to kind of replace certain like attire, I guess. But for the most part, if things will last, if they're in good condition, if they still fit and there's no problem, I generally just keep them going as long as I can.
God love Deirdre. Deirdre is funny because Josh has, unique taste in clothes and items, I guess, and I always say if it's not weird, neither of us want it. And God love Deirdre. Sometimes Deirdre will buy him something and she will think, oh, that's really weird and quirky. He might like that, but she doesn't quite always understand that weird isn't always necessarily what he's looking for either. As an example, at Christmas time, she got him, a Spider-Man shower gel that had a huge Spider-Man head on it. And she thought, wow, this is so different, he's gonna love it. Now, to be fair, he thought it was really funny and really cute and a good effort, but it just made me laugh. Some tastes are very unique like his, and I just think it's interesting,
Yeah, I'm very particular with what I like, and that's in all aspects of my life. But I like Hannah said, I did like it. It was very novel, and I did use it. It was, very useful. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate her for doing that.
Oh yeah, Deirdre's great. She puts in loads of effort, and we love her, and living with her is very easy to do. She is a wonderful, kind and gentle soul, and extremely accommodating, and we're just lucky to have her.
We are, and I don't think we've mentioned, but Deirdre is Hannah's mum.
Yes.
So yeah, we live in her house with her, and it's lovely here.
Yeah, we all get on. Nobody really has any complaints. At the moment, we're currently going room by room and repainting and redesigning the rooms. The next one that's getting done is the room that Josh and I share, so that's going to be 2 lovely shades of purple with a dark purple feature wall, which is quite exciting. But I find like it's really good living like with my mom because none of us choose anything that's too outlandish. So, we all get on really well. Yeah, and that's, it's just a really good thing. And definitely, I recommend, controversially maybe or otherwise, live together with somebody before you get married. You can learn a hell of a lot about yourself as a person and about how they are. And so, guys, that's been today's podcast. We are so delighted that you joined us. We hope that you learned a lot from this experience. And, don't forget to comment, to like and subscribe, share this with your friends and family, and remember that wherever you are in the world, stay special, love and light to you all.
Absolutely. Thank you all again for dropping by, or if this is your first time, thank you for visiting for the first time. We hope you enjoyed what you heard. Yeah, like Hannah was saying, I suppose this is a bit more of a personal episode.
Yeah.
You got a lot more of a personal insight into us as people. And yeah, we just hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, look after yourselves. Thank you very much once again. Have a great week. And just have a good day. Have a good week. Look after yourselves.
Take care, everybody.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.